What's up, everyone? Get ready because there's a lot to unpack today about the Dallas Cowboys. And it all starts with a bold new chapter for linebacker Demarian Overshon. After previously being identified by jersey number 13, he's now switching to number 0, a move that, believe it or not, is a first in franchise history. That's right, for the first time ever, someone on the Cowboys will wear the big 0 on their back, and that someone is Overshon. This change doesn't just reflect a shift in digits. It's a symbolic transformation for a player looking to redefine his presence on the field. The nickname Agent Zero has followed him for a while, but now it finally makes sense. That 00 just didn't hit the same, and honestly, the swap was long overdue. But beyond the number change, the bigger story here is Overshon's ongoing recovery from a major knee injury. This isn't just a minor tweak or something that heals up after a few weeks on the sidelines. We're talking about damage to the ACL, the MCL, the LCL, and potentially the meniscus, essentially the entire knee structure. It's the kind of injury that tests not only the body, but the mind of any athlete. And while it's still too early to lock in a return date, the general projection points to somewhere around early November. That's what's being floated by those close to the team. Still, anything more specific than that feels premature at this point. It's a frustrating situation for sure, especially because Overshon was starting to carve out a real role in that Cowboys defense. His energy, his instincts, and his physical tools were jumping off the screen. This was a guy who brought a spark, someone who had fans genuinely excited. And to have that momentum cut short before the season even really got going, it stings. But here's the silver lining. This dude is a grinder. He's been through recovery before. He knows what it takes. And from everything we've heard, his mindset is locked in. He's taking the rehab seriously, pushing through the tough days, and keeping his eyes on that return. Now, if he can actually get back on the field in 2025 and be the same player, or even better, that would be huge. Not just for him, but for the team. Let's not forget what he was showing before the injury. In 13 games last year, he racked up 90 tackles. That's not a fluke. That's impact. He had a knack for finding the ball. He blitzed with confidence, and he played like every snap was his last. Sure, there were times when he might have gone a little too hard and needed to dial it back a bit, but you'd rather have to coach a guy to calm down than try to teach him intensity. Overshon has that fire, and as long as his body cooperates, there's every reason to believe he'll bounce back. But let's be real. Coming back from an injury like that isn't a straight line. It's not just about running and cutting again. It's about trusting the knee, about feeling like yourself when the pads come on. And that's going to take time. So the Cowboys are going to have to be patient. Fans are going to have to be patient. But the upside here, it's massive. And the Cowboys aren't putting all their eggs in one basket either. They've got other options in that linebacker room. Kenneth Murray is a guy they brought in who can contribute. Maurice Lingard, DeMarvion Clark, and Jack Sanborn bring depth. Even Buddy Johnson, who made his mark on special teams last year, could push for more reps. Plus, with the draft looming, it wouldn't be a shock to see them bring in another linebacker. Maybe not on day 1 or day 2, but with 7 picks on day 3, there's flexibility to add talent without reaching. The bigger picture here is clear. The Cowboys are planning for Overshon to return, but they're not going to rush him. They're building insurance into the roster, keeping their options open, and hoping that by the time the 2025 season gets rolling, Agent Zero is back and better than ever. That would be a huge boost for a defense that already has stars, but could use more playmakers with Overshon's kind of upside. Now, here's a question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in Overshon making a full recovery and coming back strong? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because we're putting that question to the community in a poll soon. Are you riding high with confidence at a 10, or are you a little more cautious? Either way, it's a storyline worth following. And while we're talking Cowboys, there's another major situation developing behind the scenes that could have huge implications. Contract negotiations involving one of their key players. We're hearing that there's been progress in talks between the team and the player, though up until recently, the agent hadn't been directly involved. Now that the agent is officially part of the discussion, things could move quickly. A deal that once seemed stuck in limbo might be on the verge of getting done, and that's got fans buzzing. But let's be honest here. How close can a deal really be if the agent isn't at the table? You can say talks are progressing. You can say both sides feel good, but if the guy who represents the player isn't part of the final conversations, then nothing is close. The agent is always going to be a crucial voice in that room. So now that he's in, we might actually start to see real movement. And as soon as that deal is done, or not, we'll know a lot more about where the Cowboys are headed. Are they locking in their core pieces, or are they playing hardball with talent they should be rewarding? It's a test for the front office, and it's a moment that could define the trajectory of this team going forward. We'll get into more details on that situation in just a second, including what it means for other big names on the roster like Micah Parsons and what fans should expect when it comes to financial priorities. But before we go there, don't forget to weigh in on Overshon. Do you believe in the comeback? Because the Cowboys sure do. Let's shift gears now and talk about one of the hottest storylines buzzing around Cowboys Nation: the ongoing contract negotiations that are dominating headlines. From the beginning, this situation has had all the drama of a full-blown saga. At first, there were whispers that a deal was close. But let's keep it real. How close can a deal truly be if the agent, the very person responsible for making it happen, wasn't even at the table? It's like saying you're ready to fly the plane, but haven't hired a pilot yet. It just doesn't work. That's why it felt more like a philosophical question than an actual negotiation. Now that the agent is finally involved, the dynamics have shifted. There's genuine optimism that something could get finalized sooner rather than later, at least faster than what we've seen with other high-profile players. And yeah, there's some weight to that optimism. When you've got all the parties finally sitting down, looking at real numbers, and understanding what's at stake, progress can happen fast. Still, there's no guarantee. These negotiations are complex, with egos, expectations, and millions of dollars in the mix. But for once, it actually feels like there's a path forward. There's even talk of a fan vote, picking the date when the deal gets signed or when the player could potentially be traded if things fall apart. Of course, there's a small fee involved, and the winner gets a piece of the action, but that just shows how much attention this story is getting. Everyone wants to know what's going to happen. And honestly, so do we. Based on everything we've heard, we're confident the deal will eventually get done. It's no longer a question of if, it's a matter of when. And if you think I'm the only one saying this, think again. A well-known insider recently echoed the same sentiment on a local radio hit, saying the two sides are closer than they've ever been. He believes it's just a matter of tying up loose ends, and honestly, that tracks with what we've been hearing too. The team wants the player back. The player wants to stay. The numbers are the only thing left to figure out, and those numbers are massive. We're talking about potential annual salaries that could set new standards. That's how big this deal could be. It makes you wonder, why is this player even showing up to off-season workouts without a new contract in place? The risk is too high. You're asking a star to show leadership, to take the field and go full throttle, without the security of a long-term commitment. From a team's perspective, it might be a test. Let's see if he shows up anyway. But from the player's camp, the response might be, why risk it? Until the ink is dry on that contract, everything else is just noise. This wasn't an issue with another player last year, but here, it's turning into a key piece of leverage. Both sides know the stakes. They're just trying to see who blinks first. So here's the big question. Will he report to off-season workouts without a new deal? Let us know what you think in the comments. Drop a yes if you believe he'll be there, or a no if you think he holds out. Either way, this story is about to hit its breaking point, and fast. And while we're on the topic of contracts, there's another player who's stirring up speculation in a very different way. A top-tier pass rusher, someone who has at times been linked to the Cowboys, made a cryptic post on social media that raised a lot of eyebrows. The timing of the post, the tone, the message, it had all the signs of a contract negotiation that's starting to go sideways. And when that kind of thing hits social media, it's usually a sign that talks aren't progressing like they should. That post, as mysterious as it was, got people talking. One analyst weighed in and said that's often the first sign of trouble, a player sending a message to his team without saying a word. And while that doesn't necessarily mean a deal is off the table, it does suggest that things didn't start on the best footing. It's especially relevant when you look at how some teams structure contracts, particularly the Steelers, who are notorious for not offering significant guarantees into the second year of a deal. That kind of structure might have worked in the past, but today, with the way top players are getting paid, it's a sticking point. Look at Micah Parsons and TJ Watt, two of the best edge rushers in the game. Both are in position to become the highest-paid non-quarterbacks in the NFL. That's how dominant they are. And yet, as we speak, the Steelers aren't even entertaining the idea of trading Watt, despite the speculation. It's just not something they're considering seriously. But should the Cowboys be paying attention? Absolutely. Because whether it's TJ Watt or Micah Parsons, the price tag is going to be sky high. And the Cowboys need to decide, are they willing to reset the market and lock up their stars? Because let's face it, Micah Parsons is going to command a monster deal. Whether it ends up being the biggest in annual value, in guarantees, or both, we're talking record-setting money. TJ Watt could be right there too. And don't forget about guys like Aiden Hutchinson, who's right on their heels. Maybe he doesn't reach quite the same tier, but he's not far off. Trey Hendrickson might not get all the way to that level either, but he's in the conversation. So the Cowboys have a decision to make. Are they going to get ahead of this thing and pay Parsons before someone else resets the market? History tells us they probably won't. They tend to wait things out. But sometimes waiting too long costs you even more. Just look at other teams that hesitated and ended up shelling out way more than they would have if they just made the deal early. And one final note before we wrap. The contract details for Trey Lance just dropped, and they're not quite what people expected. It's not a one-year deal worth up to $6 million. It's actually a one-year deal worth about $2 million, and that's not the kind of contract that affects compensatory picks, unless, of course, he hits a bunch of incentives and plays a lot, which right now feels unlikely. So in terms of comp picks, the Cowboys are still in the same spot. They're hoping for one or two mid-rounders, depending on how things shake out, and as of now, they've got some cheap depth guys like Solomon Thomas and Javonte Williams contributing to that formula. That could all change depending on who makes the roster and how much they play. So yeah, it's going to be a fascinating offseason. Between Overshon's comeback, the big contract negotiations, and the chess game of managing the cap and comp picks, the Cowboys have a lot on their plate. But if they play their cards right, they could come out of all this with one of the most complete rosters in the league, loaded with talent, depth, and a few rising stars ready to shine. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a move that sent ripples through the Dallas Cowboys fanbase, running back Malik Davis is officially parting ways with the team. The news came as a surprise to many, especially considering Davis's strong performances during his limited appearances and his steady development since signing with the team. Once considered a potential breakout candidate in the Cowboys' backfield, Davis's sudden departure raises questions about the team's strategic direction and depth at the running back position. Davis, born November 26, 1998, carved out a name for himself during his college years at the University of Florida, where he played from 2017 to 2021. Despite early setbacks due to injury, he rebounded to become a consistent and dependable part of the Gators' offense. His ability to find gaps, maintain balance through contact, and contribute in both the run and pass game earned him attention from scouts, leading to his opportunity with Dallas. After joining the Cowboys as an undrafted free agent, Davis quickly proved he belonged in the league. His explosive preseason runs and reliable hands made him a favorite among fans who saw flashes of untapped potential. Though often behind more experienced backs on the depth chart, he made the most of every carry, showcasing the vision and tenacity that once made him a standout in Gainesville. However, the NFL is as much about business as it is about talent, and Davis now finds himself on the outside looking in. Whether it's due to cap space management, a change in offensive philosophy, or the emergence of younger talent, the Cowboys' decision to release Davis reflects the ever-changing nature of roster dynamics. His release may be a loss for Dallas, but it could mark the beginning of something greater elsewhere. What's next for Malik Davis? With his work ethic, game-ready skills, and youthful upside, there's little doubt another team will come calling. As fans bid farewell in Dallas, The football world will be watching closely to see where this underdog lands and how he makes his mark on the next chapter of his NFL journey. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.